What does it take to change the mindset? We'll take it to our panelists now. We have Brinda Adige, women's rights activist, with us. And also joining us is Mr. Shashi Kumar, educationist from Bengaluru. I'll go to Brinda Adige first. Ma'am, we've seen these incidents repeating in various states, but nothing changes. What does this indicate?
An absolute lack of monitoring, an absolute lack of having any kind of SOPs that are institutionalized. We know that NEET is an all India exam, which means there is a lot of professional work that has gone in. So if this is a centrally based exam and people are doing these things in such a manner so that no student is left off from here, how is it that they will not have any of these do's and don'ts for organizations that they outsource certain activities for? And how is it that the institution where this particular exam was conducted in Kollam actually just stood there, did nothing? As an educational institution, do they not have a responsibility to all students? May not be the students particularly studying in their college who came for this NEET exam. But certainly we are talking.
Ma'am, you've seen some justification saying that it's a bunch of officials who perhaps have gone overboard. Does it cut any eyes? Do you think that's something that's acceptable? Saying that just a bunch of them were going overboard, it's not the whole setup that's at fault?
The whole setup is at fault. What we noticed is over here, people have come up and filed an FIR. We don't know what has happened elsewhere. See, we are also living in a space where people will not complain for fear of getting lost in whatever they were trying to get. So let's not, underplay this, and whoever is trying to make these statements is trying to absolve themselves. And I think that's an absolutely irresponsible kind of a response that they are giving. This is not acceptable from the educational department as well as from those who are managing the NEET program.
Absolutely. The National Testing Agency is also in charge of this. Mr. Shashi Kumar, you've been part of the setup. You've seen how these exams are conducted. The argument is you can't have such huge, large-scale exams conducted without the help of private agencies. But in this case, the private agency seems to be at fault. Others seems to be at fault. How do we fix this? You are part of the system. Where do you see the loophole?
Definitely, you can't say that it is the fault of either private agency or it is the fault of the system, because as Madam said, it is very right that there should be a minimum standard SOP wherein everybody has to be instructed at large. And this is absolutely a failure. No, it is not just a failure. It is a condemnable, and it is something we are unable to show our face to the students. This is such a, we can't say what to say on this aspects. It is really disheartening, and students are being like done with this thing, and they are being with trauma. It is absolutely a government has to intervene. They have to have a strict punishment to these people who have taken extreme, because this is done by either few or it was the instruction by higher ups, whatever. So, but the thing is, you have to take appropriate lawful action, because the modesty of women is being in dispute here. And not only, I was surprised, it is not only for girls, even boys are, whatever it is, you can't discriminate between that. But condemning at this point of act is really, we don't have words to say on this. But government of India, education
Mr. Shashi Kumar, we've also seen problematic procedures, or at least some bit of rules even in state exams in various states, and that obviously hasn't created a big controversy. But we have seen that officials or staff who are deputed here are not sensitized.
Unfortunate thing, because even the school authorities who are as a mute spectators, it is really surprising, because they are also accountable at this point of time. And whatever you say, like there are many flaws in during examination, but this is extreme. This is something playing with the mind and the modesty of the women, not only women, even men. If it is a boy, is been also made to remove their thing, which I was I heard, but I don't know exactly. But it is absolutely not acceptable at large.
Ms. Brinda Adige, do you think some of these rules need to be revisited? Yes, we've had issues of malpractice during examination. There are stringent rules to curb that. But somewhere common sense also needs to come in.
You're absolutely right. We are talking about common sense. Now, how can metal hooks in a bra have anything to do with the students cheating? It doesn't make any logic. It doesn't have any reasoning. And yes, you mentioned it right, common sense. This is a rule that has been put by somebody. It's a whim of fancy. And an entire nation, entire generation has been asked to follow a nonsensical rule. And it is so sad that we want to call it a rule. Why is it that nobody in the committee ever questioned something like this? Is it that they did not know about it? Or did they not, understand what children will be going through if something like this comes up? How dare the committee say you wear sports bra, but not wear bras with hooks? Why would everybody want to wear sports bras? There is no choice and right of the child given importance over here. And I think the government is to squarely blame, and they must take the responsibility. Action must be taken on everybody, including that committee that made this bizarre, abhorrent rule, if there is a rule over there.
Also, do you think it's problematic that you had people who are perhaps in higher education for a number of years now, the principal and various others, who actually saw this happening? Well, many of them are arrested now, but the fact that they let it happen without even raising objection to that is a larger problem, not just the private players who were there, who were deputed by the NEET officials.
So what we need to understand, Harish, is there is somewhere a kind of thought process that if I have authority and power, I can do anything that I want, even if that is outsourced to somebody over there. So the ones who were outsourced with that power and authority did not think twice to tell these girls, take off your bras and walk into the examination hall. But woe to those people, the educational institution that was having this exam conducted there, silent bystanders. I mean, what kind of educationalists are they? What are they talking about when they say it is education and children whose enlightenment is in their hands? They are taking responsibility. They have been silent bystanders, and I think they need to be booked too, because they could have told them that this is not acceptable. Don't do this. Oh, I just gave my building. Then you should have walked out of the building. Why were you standing there? You have just hired the building. You give the building and you walk out.
Absolutely.
But no, you stood there. The fact that you stood there, you have every responsibility, and so you can't be absorbed, and you must be booked along with the actual perpetrators also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Shashi Kumar. Thank you, Ms. Brinda Adige, for joining us. We really hope that this incident acts as an eye-opener and every institution is a little more sensible while conducting these exams.